Good evening, everyone. Thank you for those that have joined us so far. We'll just wait a couple of moments for everyone to log in and then we will begin. So thank you.
Hello, Catherine. You all right?
Hi, Mark. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, apologies for that. Gosh, no one had to phone me up. I completely forgot. I was downstairs drinking my cup of tea and totally forgot about it. It's completely went out of my head.
No problem, Mark. We've just got the community logging in now, so we're just going to give it a couple of moments for everyone to get logged on and then we'll begin.
Okay. Do you want me to join in my video?
It's up to you if you want to or not. Maybe when your section comes up, pop it on. And just let everyone know we'll start off with some introductions with everyone on the panel tonight.
Okay.
Okie dokie, we'll make a start because it seems like everyone's come in now. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the COLPAI project construction webinar. My name is Catherine and I'll be hosting tonight's webinar. On the panel this evening, we have members of the team from the City of London Corporation and ISG who will be giving an update on the progress of works on site. We are keen to allow for as much time as possible for Q&A, and after the presentation, we'll open up to questions from the audience. Following feedback from the community, we have looked into the settings of the webinar to see if it is possible for all members of the audience to be viewed. Unfortunately, this is not possible on a webinar, but I can confirm that we currently have 14 members of the local community on the call. At the bottom right hand of your screen, you should see the Q&A function. Please do submit any questions during the session here. We would also like to invite members of the audience up onto the panel to ask your question during the Q&A. If you would like to come up, please indicate this in your message or use the raise your hand function so I can bring you up. I would like to remind everyone that this session is being recorded and will be available to view on our project website following the session. So we'll begin by introducing the teams and I'll just go around the panel this evening. So we'll start with Michael.
Good evening, everybody. Michael Goiter-Jones, Head of New Developments and Special Projects.
Thanks, Michael. Paul?
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Paul Mercer, Assistant Director for Housing and Barbican.
Thanks, Paul. Gerald?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gerald Mertens. I'm the Director for Academy Development for City of London Corporation.
Thank you, Mark.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Lyman. I represent the City Surveyors Department.
Non?
Good evening, everyone. I'm a Senior Principal Project Manager looking after the COLPAI project on behalf of the City of London Corporation.
Steve?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Steve McCarthy. I'm the Senior Project Manager representing ISG.
And John?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm John McLeod. I'm the Project Director representing ISG.
Lovely, thank you. I will now pass over to Nyon, who's going to give us an update on the planning conditions.
Thank you, Catherine. So in terms of the planning conditions, we have received the comments on the delivery and service plan from yourselves, and we are collating a response still. We have some meetings booked for next week with our engineering consultants to give you a thorough response. After this point, these responses will be communicated and then you will have another 2 weeks to respond to those comments. So no submission will be made until that date. So we are still working on that document, and as soon as that's ready, we will share that with you, at which point you'll have another 2 weeks to respond. And then at that point, only then will we submit that to the council. All submissions and response documents will be communicated through ComCom and the council website. So that's an update, and we should have something for the next meeting, as we are having a series of meetings next week to confirm the responses.
Great, thanks so much, Nyon. Steve, I'm just going to share my screen with the presentation, so over to you if you can just confirm
Okay.
when you can see that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give everyone a brief overview of progress works to date. These slides were taken towards the end of last week. What you've got there is an aerial view from our tower crane, and it shows the residential building at level 6. So we're just about to concrete level 6 slab, which we completed last week. If we can have the next slide. This is a view on my left-hand side is a view of the school hall, which shows basically the roof finishes ongoing, brickwork up to parapet height, and on the right-hand side is the elevation of the school, which is the inner courtyard playground elevation, the south elevation. Shows the brickwork complete up to roof level. The east elevation of the school, you can see we've already struck the scaffold. Next slide. This is a view of the east elevation on the left-hand side, on my left-hand side. Shows some water staining on the brickwork. We'll be in the process of cleaning that off over the next few weeks, so that will look nice, crisp, and new. The view on the right-hand side is actually standing in the playground, looking out across onto Basterfield House through one of the decorative screens. So that will be the children's playground. Next slide. This is in the school. So this is showing a view down the corridor, which shows the window installation, which is now quite well on. Also, you can see some services along the ceiling void of the corridor on the left-hand side. The next slide. This is a view on the left-hand side. It's a view inside the school hall, showing the double doors that open out onto the playground. And on the right-hand side, it's a view of the school, showing the double doors looking into the school hall, also showing a bit of the brickwork. Next slide. This is a view inside the school. So on the left-hand side, that picture was taken in one of the classrooms, which shows that we're quite well advanced now with the plastering or skimming. And again, on the right-hand side, we've got a view looking down one of the corridors. Next view. So this is gives you an idea of the amount of electrical and plumbing installation that we've now completed in the school. Probably well into being 90% complete. So again, quite advanced. Next slide. Lifts are now fully installed. Obviously, they're the lift doors. We're now finishing off the walls, and we'll be taking the drywall, dry lining plasterboard into the lift reveals, and then skimming them. So again, quite advanced. Next slide. This on the right hand side, it's a school hall roof, showing the ongoing roof works. On the left hand side, that's a view in the of the external plant area, which is adjacent to Hatfield House. So that's on level 3. Next slide. This shows the infrastructure work going on. So what you can see, that black pipe you see is the sprinkler pipe installation that runs from the sprinkler tank in the basement of the residential block to the school buildings. Underneath that, you've got district heating pipe work that's already been installed. Now those trenches are backfilled. We've got a bit of trench work to finish just behind the tower crane. The last remaining piece of infrastructure, or last remaining infrastructure service we've got to put in, is the gas pipe that runs from the gas meter housing, which is in the site, just inside the site, to the residential block. And that's all our infrastructure complete. Next slide. The next slide, this slide is an overview of our monitoring results for December. Again, they're showing that we're well within where we should be. We're generally now, because we're moving in more to the fit out, we're making less noise, very little dust, and no vibration at all. So things should be looking better on that front. Last slide. Again, this is just an overview of our COVID-19 guidelines. So we're working in accordance with the government recommendations. We've installed additional welfare for all the trades, all our personnel, so we can keep segregated. We've let a larger off-site office, so our office staff can be segregated, and we're maintaining 2 metre distancing with all our construction operations. If there is an occasion where we do have to work in closer proximity, then there is guidance that covers that, and masks and precautions are taken. I think that finishes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Steve. I'm just going to stop sharing that now. I can see we've got a couple of people that have raised their hands, so I'm just going to bring you up to the panel now to ask your questions. As mentioned, there is the Q&A box at the bottom right-hand of the screen. So we haven't had any questions submitted through yet, so please do put them in there. And I've just brought up Jacqueline and Nathalie to the panel. If you want to ask your questions, that'd be lovely. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Catherine. I accidentally pushed the hand button by mistake.
Oh, no problem.
But actually, sorry, let me be more sociable and put the video on. Although it's very dark here. My question was for Steve. I can see that he's got great protocols for his crew working on site, although obviously there are some concerns sometimes that residents express with what they see. But I'm also wondering what how he briefs his workers for when they're using facilities around the estate, like the coffee shops, and just generally stopping having cigarette breaks and all those kind of things, because that is when we are more exposed as residents, rather than obviously on the site, which you've got more control over. So yeah, thank you. I was going to type that, but
no trouble at all. Steve, do you want to give an update on that from your side?
Yes, I mean, what we have on site is a daily briefing meeting every morning, and that is held by myself and Steve Beattie, who I'm sure you know. And basically, we meet with all the trades foremen, and we continually express and remind them about a lot of things, actually, but in particular, obviously, about COVID, and that the need to keep segregated, and obviously the need to obey the rules as set out by the government. Also, another thing we're keen on reminding them is that whilst they stagger their breaks, so we don't release a lot of people into the local area. All the breaks are staggered, and also we stagger the times at which the guys start on site. So, for instance, our M&E contractor starts later than our ground worker. So to obviously ease the pressure on public transport and the area. So we are continually reminding them. But obviously our biggest problem is obviously we can't hold their hands. And it is difficult for us to police that outside the site. But, you know, hopefully I like to think that they all taking notice of what the government is saying generally through the media and what we're reminding them of daily. So what we do is we remind their foreman at our DABs, and that is then cascaded through to our down through our workforce.
Thank you.
No problem, Jacqueline.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Did you have
I haven't
any
seen you around much, Jacqueline, lately. Are you okay?
I am fine, thank you. I'm grateful that I don't, since June, I've not had to work at home, and so I haven't had to deal with it, deal with some of the other issues that are, you know, inevitable with it being living next door to a building site. So
Okay, yeah.
I've not been on site much, but thanks for your answers, Steve. And
No
I'm
worries.
glad that you will keep push. I mean, I appreciate that you can't legislate for what people do off site, but if you can keep putting that message through to your workmen, that would be really helpful for us, because it is.
We will do, Jacqueline. Don't worry about that. We'll do our best.
Thanks, Jacqueline. We've also got Natalie on the panel. Natalie, I believe you're on mute at the moment. Hi there.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for this. I have just one question, one observation. So one is that why is there water running all the time in I think it's the tower construction? So it just seems very wasteful, but if you pass in the evening, it just feels like there's constant water running, and you can also hear it. So we get on top of the 10 hours of noise we're subjected to daily. We have to hear that.
Yes, I'll tell you what that is. Yeah, you may not believe me, but that is rainwater. That is rainwater cascading down through the building.
Even on days it's not raining?
If on days it's not raining, no, it's not rainwater. But it does take. I mean, I will look into this, but my feeling is it's rainwater. I'm almost 100% sure. I'll tell you for why, because we've got no water supply up that high. So that is rainwater on the slabs, on the concrete, that gradually percolates its way through. Now we're up to about the 6th floor. What we'll be doing quite soon is, because we've got enough floor slabs in, we've constructed enough floor slabs, we'll be installing a temporary drainage system that will pick that up. But believe you me, that is rainwater. That is rainwater.
Right. And the other thing is that there is a lot of shouting going on. I mean, if you're here in the day, it's just constant shouting, which seems a bit unnecessary. I mean, I realise, you know, you have to talk over the construction noise, but it's just constant.
It is difficult. We do remind people not to use excessive noise, but it is difficult to make yourself heard over the construction work that's going on. We do try and keep that down to a minimum, but it is difficult.
Can they not use radios or something? Because it's really, you can hear everything.
I would say that we have got about 24 radios on site that are used. So we've got sets and sets of radios. There must be 24 at least, I would have said. So it's not practical for everybody to have a radio, unfortunately. To be honest, I don't think I've got any space on my radio license to get any more radios in. So, you know, we're doing our utmost to keep the noise level down as much as we can. But you're always going to get some silly idiot, unfortunately, that will shout loud. All we can do, and we do this at our DABS meeting, we continually remind the guys to keep the noise down to a bare minimum.
I would say it's not one. There's a lot of shouting recently. That's really bad. I think it's just getting worse, and maybe more reminders would.
Yeah, well, look, Natalie, I'll take your comments on board, and I'll bring that up tomorrow morning to all the trades foremen. You know, and I will tell my guys that if they hear anyone shouting unnecessarily, then we'll reprimand them.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much. We've also just brought up Francis to the panel. So Francis, if I could get you to unmute yourself if possible, and do let us know your question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, hello. I just had a quick question. If are there currently dumper trucks coming to and from the site? For example, from Morris Row?
Morris Row. Where is Morris Row?
It's a company.
Oh,
Morris Row.
sorry.
It's a
What we've been having a lot of. What do you mean by dumper trucks? We've got the 20-yard
the ones
tipper
that.
lorries.
Yeah, I guess tipper lorries. I guess is what you. Sorry, that's my Canadian background there.
All right, sorry, yeah. So we've got 20-yard tipper lorries coming to the site, and they are delivering crushed concrete fill. I would say probably the most we've had over the last week would be about 6, maybe on 1 or 2 days. I mean, I could check my logs and they would tell me, but
I just are some of them Morris Row?
I mean, I'd have to check that again. It doesn't ring a bell. It doesn't ring a bell.
What I wanted to flag up is because I live on Central Street further up, and I mean, historically, I've seen a lot of your tipper lorries coming up and down. Quite recently, I've had a few incidents involving myself and other people on the zebra crossing, where the Tesco is on Central Street, which you probably know.
Oh yes, I know it. Yes.
Where the last one, I've got the license plate and photograph and everything, but I had a tipper lorry coming quite quickly at me crossing with my young son on the crossing, and not slowing down, and someone else was coming to cross the other way, and he just stepped on the gas and just kept going, and there's even the bumps to slow vehicles down, and he was going at quite a high speed, and I waved at him for him to stop because there were other people crossing, and he stopped already on the zebra crossing, but he wasn't going to stop. And that's the second incident I've had in recent times of a lorry going straight through the zebra crossing when it had to stop. And those are dangerous lorries if they don't stop.
Yeah, definitely. Francis, can you supply that information to our email address?
Yeah.
And I'm
also going to be supplying it, obviously, to the Met Police.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I just think, I mean, I hope it's not yours, but whoever it is, it's quite possible that it is. And I just think I'm not sure how you put that message out to your various subcontractors and subcontractors of subcontractors, but
quite easily, because if it is one of my lorries, then they'll get a very, very stern warning, and basically what we can do is we can ban them from delivering from the site. So we can take some action there, but I would need the license plate and the photo, and I'll firstly check if it's one of our lorries, and if it is, then obviously we will speak to the company concerned.
Okay, so I send that to you. Where can are your details on?
If you could send that to the COLPAI email address, and I'll pick it up from there.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just want to avoid any children getting squished by a tipper lorry.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
While building
definitely.
a school,
yeah,
that would be tragic. And if I could just really quickly ask another question. Last time, I believe I was asking about the measures that would be in place when the school opens to obviously protect the school and all the children and people in it while construction is continuing. And you had all agreed that it was possible to share more information. And I'm just wondering, I've also asked the school about this, which obviously you have meetings with and been in touch with, but I haven't, as a parent, received any information yet.
Well, as far as as part of our construction management plan, we've got plans that basically show the site segregated by an 8-foot timber panelled holding, that cuts us completely, cuts the site off completely from the school. By the time the school is open, the tower crane should be down, so you'll only have a hoist. The initial entrance for the school is going to be via Basterfield, Baltic Street West.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, those are the things you mentioned at the last meeting. And
yes,
I'm not the only parent at the school, and there are a lot of parents that obviously interested, some of them unaware that construction will still be going on, but we'll obviously find out.
Well, perhaps ComCom, I'm sure ComCom will do this. Catherine or Ruby will put out a more of a formal answer to your request, and maybe copy in one of my logistics plans that shows the hoarding, segregating the school from the residential block.
Hi, yeah, Catherine here. Francis, we have begun pulling all this information together following your comments at the last call. So I'm hoping that we will be able to issue that newsletter with all the information on to everyone as soon as possible. So we'll keep you updated, but we will be sending out more to everyone on that matter.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure it hadn't gone under, because obviously, the date is approaching.
Absolutely.
And there's sort of no time to react or flag anything up if it doesn't come soon enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Just one thing, Francis, just on your note about the vehicle, the haulier, the hauliers that we use and the companies that we use have to be FORS registered, so they have to have a certain standard. It's sort of driving standards within the sort of industry. So if you have got those details and we can pass them on to the haulier, that has a big impact on their registration to the sort of and their wider certification to the scheme. So it's taken very, very seriously if you can sort of highlight an actual vehicle. So I think that will be, if you can provide us that will be taken very seriously.
Okay, that's great to know, because in general, I wouldn't say those lorries are the most well behaved on the road, despite how dangerous they are.
Yeah, and I think with what, and also it doesn't. If it was delivering to us or if it was delivering to another building site, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that it was its registration will be affected if it gets complaints. If that company gets complaints, whoever it's delivering to, it will get the message, and it will affect its
And
registration.
what's that scheme or that organisation?
It's FORS. It's a Fleet Operator Recognition Scheme.
Is that TFL?
Yeah, it's part of that process of driving standards within the industry.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Francis. We've had a couple of questions through on the Q&A. So, Steve, you mentioned about district heating. A question's come up. How does the district heating that you mentioned work? Where is the heating being generated?
Well, our contract is to install district heating pipework and infrastructure for possible future use. So it will not be connected as part of our works. But basically, there's a couple of district heating sources. One is Bun Hill, and one is down towards the Barbican. Not sure exactly where the Barbican one is, but as far as ISG are concerned, and our stage of the works is we're only putting in the infrastructure.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Another question is, are you going to clean the hoarding? They look a bit of a mess at the moment, so I wonder if that's on our plan.
No problem. I will when I go to work tomorrow. I'll get one of my guys to take a view on the holding and to clean it wherever it needs cleaning. We'll gradually work our way round. I could put someone on that. No problem at all.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Another question that's come through says, at the last meeting, it was noted that we would speak to Islington Council about how to fix the problem of ISG site pushing pedestrian traffic onto the pavement and onto a road surface that is often inaccessible to wheelchairs and pushchairs. Please can you update us on your conversations with Islington and any actions that were agreed?
That's a difficult one, that one. I'm not sure where we are with that. I know that we...
Steve, I've got a little bit of information on that. I think we had attempted to get hold of Islington in terms of having a site visit, but because of the coronavirus pandemic, they are not attending site. I think Noyon has been trying to liaise with them. So we have been attempting to try and get them to site to have a look at it.
Okey-dokey. I'm just making a note of that, and we can follow up in the meeting notes with any further information and from Noyon. Noyon, I know we discussed this at the beginning, but we've got a question that's just come through about the planning conditions. So have you submitted any further information to clear the planning conditions? If so, which ones?
Just to reiterate what I said at the start of the meeting, that we haven't yet, we're still preparing the document, and you will get a chance to comment on those prior to any submission. Any communication will be done through Catherine's team at ComCom and the council website.
Thanks, Noon. We haven't had any more questions through on the chat function at the moment. If you do have a question, please pop it in there or do raise your hand and I can bring you up onto the panel. Just to note, following this session, we will be putting the webinar on the website and writing up written notes to accompany that with any post-meeting notes. We are looking at holding our next webinar on the Thursday, the 18th of March at 7 p.m. Obviously, we're keen to come back and do face-to-face meetings, but we're just monitoring guidance as we move forward in terms of when they will restart. So we will, of course, keep you updated on that. We've got a couple of new questions coming through. Norn, there appears to be a number of planning conditions that have been submitted, but we've not been notified. Do you know what those would be in relation to? Or maybe Mark could help on that question.
A number of planning conditions that have been submitted, but we have not been notified. No, I'm not sure. I was speaking in reference specifically to the delivery and service plan, which is one of the items to be consulted on. I'll have to come back on the rest. If they were supposed to be consulted and they've been submitted, then that's an issue that I will have to look at. I'll have to go back to our planning consultants and do a full audit.
Okay.
Okay, I do think that all the conditions that we agreed with residents that we would consult on, we have or are consulting on. So we may have submitted to discharge conditions that we didn't say that we was going to consult on. But as Noel said, we can come back on that and just check and make sure that everyone know which conditions we have submitted.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mark. I'll follow up with you guys afterwards just to make sure we've got a list of those. As some of the residents have noted, there are some on the Islington website, so let's look into that and we'll come back to you. Any further questions coming in? Yes, we've got a couple. Question about programme and timings. So when will the residential building be ready? Steve, perhaps that's one for you to answer.
The residential building is due to finish in end of March 2022.
Great, thanks, Steve. Okie dokie. Any further questions or queries from anyone before I close the meeting? Nothing else coming through. as we mentioned, we will check about the planning conditions and come back to everyone. And I think there's a couple of actions there, Steve, in terms of the hoarding and Islington. So we will ensure that that is communicated back to everyone that's on this call. If there are no further questions, we will bring the webinar to a close, and just want to say thank you so much for everyone for joining us this evening and for everyone on the panel. If you do have any questions or queries following today, please do email us. All of the information is on our project website, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you face to face as soon as possible, and just hope everyone's staying safe out there, and wishing you all the best. So thank you again, and thanks, team.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Evening.